My guest today is Juan Francisco Olea, the director of Bitter Gold. But before we start our conversation, can you tell our viewers in just a few words what the film is about?
Hi, Michael. Bitter Gold is a film about miners in the north of Chile, and it's about the story of this girl, a miner who lives with her dad in the middle of the Atacama Desert, and they are trying to find a way out of there, and they have a hidden treasure, this gold mine that is hidden beyond the mine that they work on. And in an unfortunate accident, uh, all their plans get all tangled up, and she ends up running the mine, taking care of her father, and taking care of a dead body inside the golden mine.
Okay, even though you didn't write the script, do you remember the initial spark for the story?
Yes, the initial spark is what it was a small video we saw on the news, like on the TV news, about a copper mine in Chile that was run exclusively by women. And that was a strange thing because they were talking about the miners in Chile are exclusively men, and the mines are run by men, and there's a belief in the mining culture that women gives bad luck to the mine. So we started like, here we have something. Here we have a conflict. What can we do about this? And we developed this character, Carola, um, a minor underage girl who has to run a mine and confront all these men and all their belief side and and to win power over them. That's about how we started developing like with this character.
Yeah, Bitter Gold takes place in the Atacama Desert in the northern part of Chile, as you already said, which is one of the driest places on Earth, if I read it right. So,
Yes.
what more can you tell me about that place?
Well, that place actually, yes, it's the driest desert of the world. The humidity levels are like all deserts, you know, in the day, like sun, it's very warm, very hot. It's a place where there's no shade at all. You don't have any trees or any trunks, anything, just plain dirt, sand, and rocks. And in the night, it gets cold, very cold, like freezing cold. So besides that, it's very rocky. It's a very rocky desert. It's not like the Sahara desert that we see, like very sandy, you know. It's very rocky, and inside those rocks, inside those mountains, those rocky mountains, there's quite a lot of minerals. And you can see it on the landscapes. There's a bunch of colors going around about different minerals that are in that area. And one of the biggest mining industry in the world of copper is over there. You can find gold, yes, and it's quite difficult to find it. But when you find a gold vein inside the desert, there's a bunch of gold. So that's where miners really are working on copper, and when they find gold, it's what they always tell like the devil appears. They start like fighting each other, all about greed. They start doing a lot of robbery, and well, that's what the theme of the movie is about.
And did you shoot in that area? And how difficult was it to get the actors and the equipment there?
Well, yes, we shoot in that area. We were along the script writing and developing of this film and the all of the shooting. We were constantly traveling to the area and finding different mines and exploring different mines as locations. Actually, we shot on a copper mine that was that is until today is still active, We blocked like 1 week for our film inside the mines, and all the workers went out. Actually, one of the miners in the film, one of the actors, the skinny old man, is a miner from that mine where we shot. He served as an actor and as an assessor of the project. And yes, it was quite hard, but we could find one mine, special mine that was quite interesting because of its facade. You know, the big holes in the hill, in the mountains, and it was near the Copiapó city, the nearest city, where we stayed there with all the equipment, with all the team, with all the crew, with the actors. So it took us like 20 minutes to get there, but it was quite like uphill, you know, so you can't see anything around. And that was a pretty good finding because that's what we needed. Actually, mines in the desert are very long, very far away, and we could find one that was really near our production center.
And what have been the biggest challenges filming in this hostile environment?
Well, the biggest challenges was the heat of the desert. It was quite challenging. We had to like get a lot of water for the equipment, and also everybody, all the shots were difficult because we don't have anywhere to hide. So if the camera pans around, you can't hide the team. The team has to move like outside of the shot, so we could do those shots. And also, it was challenging to film inside the mines, inside the tunnels, because it was pretty suffocating. We had to add like a guy in the crew who was the security assessment. He had to like take turns like for the team to first of all, we had to shoot with all these masks, face masks, because of all the dust and heavy materials and powder all around us. Well, the actors couldn't do it because they had to act in front of the camera. But as soon as we shouted like cut, they had to put all the face mask, and shoot about 20 to 30 minutes. Then get out, get some air, and get inside. So it was kind of slow and a bit challenging because yeah, it was really dark spaces, full of holes everywhere that we have to block so nobody just like falls down like 20 meters like inside a hole inside the mine. So it was quite challenging and dangerous, but taking all the security advices from our advisor, we were pretty safe.
That's interesting. Your director of photography is Sergio Armstrong, who worked with Pablo Larraín many times. And how did you two work together and capture these stunning images and the visual style of the film?
Well, it was the first time for me working with him, and we got along pretty well. Like we knew what we were looking for. As soon as the first thing we talked about was like, okay, so this is kind of a Western, you know, and he told me like, yeah, but you see it more like this ultra prime, very clean images with all the textures, or you want like this bit of vintage lenses. And he told me he used for the club, Pablo Larraín, these vintage lenses from like Russian lenses, anamorphic. And I was like, yeah, those look interesting because we had a lot of flares going on with the helmets and the lamps in the helmets, and we had to shoot wide, very wide for the desert to see like it's in its majesty. And it was like, oh yeah, let's do that. And it kind of looks like an old Western, but in nowadays. And there's something about Sergio that impresses me, because his team, his whole crew, like in the lighting department, were a bunch of people, like 4 or 5 people. And one of his crew, his gaffer, told me, like, the one thing I love about Sergio, that now he's not doing like cinematography with all the lightings and everything. It's like he went on a trip to the north of Chile to shoot photographs. Like he was like inside his passion, like photographing and finding the best spot to have the natural light. So it's like, yeah, you know, that makes a lot of sense. He has it in it. Like he went there like in a vacation, you know, to shoot like the best angles, and that's what we got in the movie. With so little equipment, he did like this fantastic job and this huge imagery.
Let's switch to your actors. Francisco Melo, who's playing Pacifico, was the first one to cast, as I read. But he seems to be quite famous in Chile. But for Catalina Sanchez, this was her first leading role. She does an amazing job. So how did you find her, and how did you get that performance out of her?
Well, yes, Pancho was the first actor and one of the lead roles to get in the film, in the project. He also got in as a producer. He made like a couple of films long time ago. He was more into TV series and that kind of productions. And he's a great actor. I always admired him, and we were like very excited to shoot like a film, you know, a theater film again. And he was very helpful for our casting process for Carola, because Carola is a character that, you know, I always like picture her like in paper, you know, like this girl, very strong and everything, but I couldn't find a face for her, you know. And I was like convinced, like when I see someone in the cast that is like that's Carola, that she will be, you know. So we did a huge casting in with like natural people, not non-actors, non-actresses, and actresses in the north, in Santiago, elsewhere. Girls from everywhere came to the casting. And one day we were casting with Pancho. Pancho Francisco was helping us that day, because we had like this finalists, you know. And then Kat appeared that day, and we made a couple of shots, like scenes for castings. We as soon as the scene ended, I was like impressed, really impressed. Like I was seeing Carola in her, like she's Carola. I looked at Pancho that was doing the scene with her. Like we looked at each other and was like, yeah, that's it. You know, she's and she went out that day. Like okay, bye, thank you. We will call you. And we were like discussing, like, oh my God, she's Carola. Like there's no question as. And that was a very interesting thing, because the paper, you know, in script, you can write about this character and everything, but she completed the character with her own instincts, you know, and I let her do that, because the film, she had to put all the action in her back, you know, and drive cars, drive motorcycles, confront these big, tall other actors acting as minors, you know, and she had to do it. And I had only to encourage her, like push her, like do it, like go ahead and punch them in the face, you know. And she had the courage to do it, and she completed the character quite well.
So Bitter Gold can be described as a neo-Western, where you take some elements of a classic Western and interpret them in a more modern way. So what was the reason to do it this way, and what parts have been the most important ones?
Well, this film was originally only a drama about this girl with her father fighting in this place, you know, and like the base of the film, you know. And we wrote this script a lot of times. There's a lot of script writers in the way. And the first version of the script where we started like raising funds, the script writer died in 2018. And we started rewriting this film, and it was like, okay, we had this time, then pandemics came, so we had like a couple of years where we couldn't shoot this. So we were like, okay, let's raise the stakes, you know, let's bring something more kind of a thriller to the film, like all the thriller part of the miner that gets in and they kill him and everything. It wasn't on the original script. So we started like playing with the genres, and suddenly we read the script again, and was like, this would fit quite well in a Western. We have this scenery, you know, we have all this battle for power, so these duels, you know, between characters. And kind of Carola is like confronted to every man around her, even at sometimes her dad. So it was quite interesting. It's like, yeah, and it started fitting in my brain, like all the puzzle pieces. Like, let's try and do this as a Western, and we discussed a lot of that with Sergio. Like, how do we want to shoot it? Because it's not a Western with cowboys, you know. You had to put it on cinematography, you know, and that's what we worked on. We started looking for Sergio Leone films, Kurosawa, the samurai, you know, this Western basics, you know, these duels about gaining power. You have a shot of her alone in the shot, and then all the miners start like joining her in the frame, you know, and you shoot the other way, and the Moises, the Vladimiro, the character starts losing power, starts losing people on his frame, you know. So we kind of try to play with that, and it was quite consistent, and as well the scenery and everything completed all the neo-Western kind of cinematography.
Yeah, I think it was a very good idea. And so Bitter Gold is
Thank you.
co-production between Chile, Uruguay, Mexico, and Germany. So how did this came about? And especially, what was the German contribution?
Well, yeah, the first funding we had was the Chilean funding. That was like the kickstart of this project. So after that, and after we had the pandemics and everything, was like, oh, okay, now everything's getting more expensive to shoot. We couldn't do it with the initial funding, so we started looking for partners, you know, different companies. In Uruguay, they have this funding, like state funding, and we associated with them and they want the co-production funding of Uruguay to put on our film, like services in sound, like in sound in shooting. Then we had this funding in ÜBER Media, and then we had Germany, and Germany funds was a mix, you know. The German funds were used for production, for the shooting, and quite a lot in sound design, sound mixing, and the beautiful sound we had finally in the film that I'm quite amazed by the work of all the crew, like the sound crew in post-production in Germany. We worked it on Frankfurt, on this small cinema, very nice, with all the Dolby and everything, and it was quite a journey working on sound. It's like the most exciting part, you know. You get to watch the film and feel it and put like all the magical details that kind of makes the atmosphere of the film, you know? So it was quite nice.
I believe that being on a budget and having a limited number of shooting days is mostly good for a film, because at some points you have to get creatively challenged. But just hypothetically speaking, would you have done anything different if you had, let's say, endless time, endless money, or would we still see the same film?
That's a good question. Maybe yes, I could have done something different, because we shot this film like in 20 days, 21 days. It was it was quite challenging. Like my assistant director who has shot a lot of films, you know. Directors get to shoot their own films, but all the assistants and everyone gets to shoot a lot. And she told me like, "Hey, today we made like 7 scenes," and I was like, "Oh my God!" Like, we usually do like 2 scenes or 1 scene a day, you know, like in other films, you know. And we were shooting a lot. We had a lot of scenes to shoot, quite challenging and very tight times, you know. It was a lot of stress, like running around, like, oh my God, the sun is getting behind the mountain. We were running to shoot like the last bit of sand. Well, I would have done something different. Yeah, I would push it more like in the Western kind of a, you know, dollies traveling, more use of steady cams, you know, that kind of stuff. But the outcome, you know, I don't know how would it be, how would have been like at the end, because I love it. I love the film how it is, and we shot it with that mindset. You know, we had this resources. We had to shoot it this way, and everything like worked well.
I think it's perfect the way it is. I wouldn't change a thing. So
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
wrap up a little talk with a quick look into the future. Is there anything on the horizon that you can already talk about? What's coming next?
There's nothing for me in the future. I'm quite in this film. I'm trying to find like different opportunities for the future. Besides my work in film, I also run a restaurant here in Chile. This is my restaurant. And that's what keeps me busy, you know, doing a lot of videos and advertisement and stuff. But well, I have a lot of film ideas, you know, but they're still like in paper, you know. So maybe if I do well with this film and someone gets to me like, hey, do you want to shoot a film? Please, let's do it.
I hope to see a lot more from you, because I really enjoyed it. So, yeah, thank you very much for your time. The film is also being nominated for the Score Bernhard Wicki Prize here at the festival. So fingers crossed. And I hopefully see you with your next film.
Yes, well, hopefully more sooner than later. Thank you, Michael.